The public school system almost broke me. I was at a time where I was so used to being mistreated, to being seen as not smart enough, not good enough. When I was a lot younger and more naive, I didn't know how to advocate for myself. I didn't have confidence in myself. And I think back to where if I had my mindset now, or if I was a parent having a kid deal with a similar experience that I did, I'd be absolutely furious. So, with this video, this was actually inspired by a video I saw from a fellow YouTuber and personal friend of mine, Dapper Dev, who talked about children, or not as much children, but when people lose that spark in their eye that they had as kids, where they lost, maybe innocence isn't the right word, but the creativity, the dream, the ability to get up and want to conquer the day and look forward to something. And I think back when I broke, when I lost that spark when I was younger. Because when I was around the age of 5 and 6, I was a happy, outgoing kid. I was looking forward to things. I was excited to conquer the day. But as I got down the line in the public school system, come maybe middle school to the start of high school, I started feeling very down, feeling like I don't belong, like I'm not good enough, like I'm out of place. And what it really comes down to is these barriers that I see. And I'm sharing this because I know I'm not the only one that's dealt with this, because I had peers in the same situation, and I can't be the only one. Where I was put in classes that were not for people that would ideally be expected to succeed. What do I mean by that? Many of the peers I had were taking, I believe, pre-calc or calculus their freshman year of high school. I was in beginner algebra. When they were taking chemistry, they essentially said, no, you're not ready for chemistry. You're not smart enough for chemistry. Take botany, take biology. These sort of barriers where, and I'll be honest, guys, I wasn't the most behaved student. I wasn't an A student. I wasn't the most focused student. But a lot of that from when I was younger, what it came from was actually troubled home life. Trauma in the home where, my parents, nothing against them, of course, but there was some arguing between them, and I would be very anxious as a kid without even knowing it. And that's where I would develop the kind of behavior of the ADHD and hyperactive behavior. And I think a lot of people that are quick to label ADHD, a lot of that comes from trauma or chaos in the home, where they need an outlet. They need an outlet, and they can't really just sit still and stuff. So that could have been part of it. But there was a lot of peers in that same situation. And even when I was in elementary school, I noticed they would sit me with the troublemakers during lunchtime. I'd be in the corner with the troublemakers, the people who were really up to no good, who were not very good academic students. And ultimately what it led to is me having no real direction or no real plan to wanting to succeed. Even towards the end of high school, when they had students touring, they would kind of put us in groups by default. They put me in the group that was going to be touring community colleges, not for university, which again, there's nothing wrong with community college. I down the line ended up going to a community college. I actually think it's a much smarter option. I think it makes a lot more sense. But you could tell what they were doing. Trying to instill these subconscious thoughts of, oh, well, you're not good enough. You're not going to succeed. And even the whole thing with the AP classes, where these students would be in these classes and all this. And again, I'm going to take responsibility and say, I wasn't the best student. I'll be the first person to say that. But I also know I didn't deserve to be treated like I wasn't good enough. I didn't deserve to be treated like I wasn't smart enough. And no one else does. They should be given a fair chance instead of having them be people picking favorites. Even with the layout of the schools, lunch lines, lunch tables, all this stuff with the principals or faculty in every corner standing there with their arms crossed. What is this, like a prison? How is this going to prepare students? How is this going to prepare our American youth for a good future? They're surrounded by people a lot of the times that they can't stand, they don't want to socialize with. They are talked down to by the teachers and the faculty many of the times, and they're in a way treated like delinquents. Tell me how that's going to lead to a prosperous future society in America. How's that going to lead to the future generations being part of a society that's productive and stuff? How's that not going to lead to people feeling resentful, feeling vengeful? And again, I'll get into this. I came out of high school with a lot of resentment and a lot of vengeance. I was very upset towards society. I thought everyone was out there to screw me. I was very paranoid. I thought everyone was out to get me and no one had my best interest. I got out of high school not wanting to do things for myself, but wanting to do things to get back at the people who told me and made it seem like I wasn't good enough. I was a very misbehaving student, like I mentioned, but even when I was a senior year, when I was doing wrestling, and me and the wrestling coach would kind of have spats back and forth, and that ended up not working out. And it was so bad to the point where, which you guys are going to think this is nuts, I was much younger, don't hold that against me, but I continued practicing wrestling because I wanted to go back to the school and challenge the wrestling coach. I know that sounds crazy, but that's the kind of resentment, that's the kind of vengeful mindset I had. I was an angry young youth in America. Now, luckily, I didn't act on anything like that. I didn't do anything that would have been leading to trouble. Because at the end of the day, I still had a good enough conscience to know right from wrong. But I wasn't prepared for a prosperous future. I wasn't prepared to live to the best of my ability. And even getting out of high school, I didn't think I'd ever go to college. I didn't know what a major was. I didn't know what a bachelor's degree was. I didn't know what a master's was. I didn't know what a PhD was. I didn't know what any of those things were. I just thought I was going to be a loser because I was so used to being treated like that. And let's be honest, guys, the label loser, no one wants to be a loser, no matter what. And I just see it time and time again. Most of the peers I was with in those classes, the more troublemaker students, the students that weren't smart enough for chemistry, weren't smart enough for calculus, a lot of them never ended up going to college. A lot of them are in financial trouble right now. And I guarantee you, it is because of the mistreatment. It is because of being seen as not good enough. And from a young age, being instilled and drilled that there's no point in them trying and that they're not going to be as successful as their counterparts. Now, as I mentioned, I was a vengeful person. And although I did end up going to college, part of it was wanting to get back at those teachers and faculty that made it seem like I wasn't good enough. I took some time off of school after. I took a few years off. I worked retail, dead-end jobs. I worked in warehouses. I worked all different kinds of physical labor in garden centers, picking up, moving stuff, Christmas tree lots, all different kinds of stuff. But I one day got up and decided I'm going to go to community college. But I wasn't doing it for the right reasons. I was doing it because I wanted to get back at them for telling me that I'm not smart enough to go to university. So I ended up getting a degree and doing well, but I had to pray every night because I knew that wasn't right. I knew that wasn't the right thing to do. And I would pray just to grant me the ability to be humble and to forgive, to let go of this revenge, this vengeful mindset. And I eventually did get over it. But I worry a lot people are less fortunate when it comes to that. And I know dang well, this, I believe, in a way, is done on purpose. Why else would you not give people a fair chance? Why would you hold people back in ways of having them in classes that are just above special education, or in some cases even in special education, whereas other students are going to be in higher level classes? For what purpose? I don't have any learning. I never had any learning disability. I never had any physical or mental disability, anything that would hold me back from being able to have a normal education. And even mistreatment from the faculty. You'd be walking down the hallways, if anyone's dealt with this, the principal would be all sarcastic and walk up like this and talk to you like you're some kind of delinquent, like you're a troublemaker. When a lot of the time it's really instilling the troubling behavior. That to me is just very manipulative and narcissistic in a way. So, if you guys have ever felt like you're not good enough, if you have a kid in school, if you are even someone in school right now, it's time to advocate for yourself. Don't let them take that spark away from you. Don't let them take that creativity. Because at the end of the day, you have to advocate for yourself, because in many cases, no one else can do it. And whatever you do, do not let them defeat you. Do not let them break you, and persevere. Thank you so much, guys, for viewing.